Okay, just a review on the Raytheon. I changed the 1 microfarad here, that was right here, with this one. I changed 2 0.1 microfarads, that's the first one, and the second one that we got paint on, right here, we're both 0.1. Those were right here, replaced by this one and this one. And then we had a 0.05, which you can't see, but it's under that blue capacitor right there. And we changed that with a Sprague orange drop, 0.05. And the one right here, going to that coil, we changed was a 0.01. 0.01, 0.05, 0.1, 0.1, and 1. And over here on the electrolytic side, I just tacked in a couple of, I think a 100 and a 250 at whatever the rated voltage is. And I have a 40 and a 47 just on the high side of that can capacitor. Now I'm going to go and attack this. I get 150 volts right here when the unit is operating. It's a 100 milliamp diode, it says, and there seems to be this diode here tacked across it, and the AC power cord is right here, right next to that fish paper. Let's take this out and have a look, see if this diode was added after the fact. Okay, here's our rectifier out, and again, I can't tell whether that is an addition or what. A diode right there. Why would they do that? Nobody would do that. Here's our AC, one side of our line. There's the bumblebee. The bumblebee that goes over, and that must isolate the ground from the chassis ground from ground. That's what that's doing. And then we have our red, violet, black 27 ohm resistor. That's about a 2 watt going to that ceramic resistor that's about 2K that stands up. Load dropping. Alright, let's see if this was an afterthought, this resistor here. Let's unsolder that and see if it comes off. And here's more of that red I was telling you about, which makes you think that it was factory, because everywhere in the radio is this these red dots on the solder. I don't know if it was an inspection or what, but I'm really thinking that this is more over there. I'm really thinking this diode was there. I'm going to look under the loupe and have a look. Looking at that really close up, I'm guessing that diode is an afterthought. I know it's not helping you with the magnifier here, but that's, yeah, just as I thought. That diode was just tacked on there. The factory would never just tack something on in that fashion. They wouldn't just tack it. They would wrap it around more securely. I'm going to go to the other side here. So they did jump over this. I'm going to take this completely out of the circuit. Okay, that's hard to see from that angle, but it clearly says 2 amp 1000 PIV. And I was told in my early days you want to use at least a 600 volt PIV in something like this, because you have the 120 volts and the peak inverse voltage. I don't know why they came up with 600, but an engineer told me that once. Has to do with the RMS and the I can't think off the top of my head exactly, but the peak inverse voltage. So there's 1000 peak inverse voltage in there. Minimum I was told would be 600. Okay, now that I've determined that the diode was put in after the fact, I've gone ahead and removed the selenium diode. Gotta love that burnt orange. Gotta love that color. Anyway, I left the silicon diode in. I'm just going to tack that. Perhaps the other user did put that 27 ohm in there to drop the B+. I don't know. Don't have a schematic of this set. But we have our Bumblebee here, of course, our .047 at 400 volt. And we'll bring it up on the checker here. And not even 50 volts, that thing is leaky. So maybe that's how the AC is getting in. I don't know. We're going to replace that also. Now I know at this point it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but I've gone ahead and added in some more capacitors. This one's from 1966. But it still tests good. I've just tacked that in for the isolation between ground, chassis ground, and ground, system ground. I tacked in this .0047, which is a .005 off of the plate of the output tube to ground, which did test okay. Didn't have a lot of leakage. So we have these two here. I don't know why these are plus and minus. Whether or not this was, you have your 110. And if you run on batteries, you're going to have your filament and your 95 volts for the B+, but I don't understand why they would just be these two here, unless it's for just straight DC, 100 volts or so DC. I'm not sure of that. And this is, of course, your external speaker jack.
Interesting things about President Obama and one of her special people.
Okay. Running a little better, much quieter without that diode in there, and changing those couple more capacitors there. But antenna wise, I just have this ferrite antenna set up here, but I don't know quite how it's configured, how to configure it.
The budget. Oh yeah, pass the Senate, it's done.
Sounds much better. I still only get a few stations though. Place my hand here, of course, I get much more. I don't really get any distant stations though. Just one station, which is in our backyard.
I'm on this part of the measure set. That one last time. I'm not going to have them on every year. And then Piers Morgan asked her, "You have interviewed every president." I'm sure that made her feel young. "You have interviewed every president in my lifetime. Why is Obama facing so much opposition now? Why is he struggling so much to really fulfill the great flame of ambition and excitement that he was elected on originally in 2009? Here's cut 3 from Barbara Walters.
He made so many promises. We thought that he was going to be, I shouldn't say this at Christmas time.
And I think it's something with my antenna here. That kills it completely. Maybe I ought to try hooking it up to the antenna that's in the set. I'll try and figure out how to peak this thing up somehow. Get some signal into it.
And sit down, take bring back over, and it will be Barack Obama. All right, I'll grant you that, but not far away.
Okay, so at this point, I think what we'll do is doctor up this area over here a little neater, add our capacitors correctly, replace the last two wax capacitors in there, see if anything else shows up, and then see what we can do about peaking this thing up. Okay, that'll be part 2 of this Raytheon battery powered 5-tube radio.